Hey guys, Dr. Ben here, F8 Well Centers. I'm going to talk about PCOS today, and this is something that is so prevalent in women. It's really pretty crazy how many people are having these issues. And if you're a female, you probably have a very good chance to experience these symptoms, or you know somebody that has. So welcome, thanks for jumping on. Pop down below where you guys are watching from, and let me know if you've ever been diagnosed with PCOS, what you've done, anything that you found successful, because it can be a very challenging thing for a lot of women. So welcome. Love having you guys on. With the functional medicine model that we work with, it's all about getting to the underlying why. Why is the body having these issues, and why are we having why are we making more cysts on our ovaries, which is ultimately what polycystic ovarian syndrome is. It means that you're making these extra little cysts on your ovaries, and then it's going to cause problems. And one of the biggest problems we get is this androgen production, which is that male hormone. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. So Olivia, good to see you. Thanks for the share there. So yeah, share this with anybody that you know. I guarantee you one of your friends has dealt with PCOS, and there are things that you can do without just going on Clomid, without all these things. Get this. We know that PCOS is the #1 cause for infertility in women in this country, and infertility is running rampant. We've got women all over the place that are not able to get pregnant, and PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is one of the main reasons for that. We know that upwards of 21% of females of childbearing years are affected by PCOS. And over half of those are not even properly diagnosed. So they may be having infertility, they may be having some of these other hair growth issues. Give me thumbs up if everyone's got too much hair growth going on there at all, because it is very, very important to see this. We know that insulin resistance is upwards of 70% of the women with PCOS have insulin resistance. And so we're going to get to that. We're going to give you tools that you can do, or a loved one can do, to change their PCOS. And this truly is a reversible condition. People can get better from PCOS. They can get pregnant. They can reverse these symptoms and these problems. So let's get into it. What is PCOS? And why does it affect so many women? So PCOS is going to be just like it says, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So the body, because of the excess hormone production, especially these androgens are going to be things like testosterone, other forms of testosterone. We'll see more DHEA, which is an adrenal hormone. We'll see more DHEA in women that have PCOS. But it's basically where the body starts, instead of releasing the ovaries and the eggs like they need to, they start forming these little cysts on the ovaries, and those cysts are what they're going to see in ultrasound, and why it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome. And what's going to happen is that this is going to, it's kind of like what came first? Was it the cart or the horse? But ultimately, the PCOS is not ultimately the problem, and that's what we're going to get into: insulin resistance and all these other things. But because of those cysts and because of what it does to hormones with that process, it's going to raise the androgens, which is the testosterone. So in many women, they're going to see an elevated testosterone, elevated DHEA, and that's going to contribute to a lot of the symptoms. So what are symptoms of PCOS? And let me know if you've had any of these, or if you've got any issues, because there's a good chance that somebody's watching this and they don't even realize that they have PCOS. So one of the things that we'll see is chin hair. Not a guy having chin hair, but a female having chin hair, facial hair, body hair more than. It's also going to be these brown spots. So any of the creases, like in the neck here, under the breast, in the armpit, creases can have this darker skin with women that have PCOS. Infertility is going to be a big one. Fatigue is a big one. Mood issues are a big one. We're going to be talking about weight gain or a hard time losing weight. If you have any of these symptoms, you may be dealing with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So we've got all of these symptoms. We know what the actual physiology is, but now what is the why? What is the number one why that we see for PCOS? And PCOS, the why is many times upwards of 70–80% of the women are going to have what's called insulin resistance. And for years, they thought that being overweight or obese was a predetermining factor for getting PCOS. But what they found was when women would lose weight, that would not fix the PCOS. Just by losing weight, oh good, I went on this crash diet and I lost weight, but that would not necessarily fix the PCOS because they didn't fix what's called the metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is where that blood sugar, so almost all the women that have PCOS have insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, which means that blood sugar is going up too high, and that blood sugar will spike. It'll cause liver issues, it'll cause inflammation, a lot of different things, but it will also stimulate this process of the ultimately having that insulin resistance. And so major issue there. We know that people need to get this figured out and get that blood sugar as stabilized as possible. I've had multiple patients with PCOS that even in the first week or two, significant changes. Their weight starts dropping, their moods start changing, their inflammation goes down. That next cycle is totally different. So a lot of women with PCOS, they're skipping cycles or they're not menstruating at all. And we see women, even in the first month or two, can start menstruating again and more regularly on those cycles. So let's get into what you can do about this now. Start making some changes for you or a loved one, somebody you know that is dealing with PCOS. Start making these changes now. Number one thing that you can do is work on your diet, and not just any diet, keto, paleo, vegan. What do? Blood sugar stabilization diet, because it's insulin resistance that you have to fix, and the best way to do that is a blood sugar stabilization diet, whatever it takes to keep that blood sugar 85 to 110. Check out my video earlier where we talked about this, and we get in depth into how to change that blood sugar. Getting proper sleep. There's a lot of research showing that women that have PCOS do not sleep as well. And that makes sense because we're going to see this where women that don't sleep well, they're more prone to insulin resistance, more prone to being overweight, more prone to having diets that are not very good because they're trying to stimulate their energy throughout the day. We know that exercise is a huge part of it, but over-exercising, especially for women that are predisposed for PCOS, is just as bad as under-exercising. So proper exercise, like we talk about, movement's great, but exercise is really important, and staying in that good heart rate zone. Check out some of our videos about heart rate and staying in that good zone. Really important through there. Staying away from endocrine disruptors, so BPA, plastics, microwaving in plastic, the dioxins, a lot of these chemicals are going to cause hormone disruption that's going to lead towards PCOS and other hormone issues. So stay away from those toxins. Very important. We know supplement-wise, one of the best things that you can start taking now is what's called inositol. Inositol is a simple sugar, kind of ironic, but it's my kids, we used to give it to them for sleep and moods and some different things, and they call it in the powder form, they call it yummy powder, because it does taste a little bit like cotton candy almost, but it is really important. So if you are dealing with PCOS, inositol, one of the easiest and simplest supplements to add in right now. Vitamin D, upwards of 80% of women that are dealing with PCOS are dealing with a vitamin D deficiency. So absolutely, we've got to get that dialed in. And then one of the last things to start with is acupuncture. A lot of research showing that acupuncture can be very helpful for PCOS as well. Multiple studies going down that path. So these are some steps, some actionable things that you can do right now to help with that PCOS. If you've got any questions at all, pop those down below. We would love to hear from you. you guys. But stay strong, get your body as stabilized as possible, and it can heal from practically anything. Good to see you guys.